This is AllReasonNoLogic's road to OS 25. Join us as Tom battles to double his OS starting at 12. Hit subscribe and leave your comments and tips. To the battlefield commanders.
Tom, the next 4 games you played after Supreme Isthmus were all in one batch, so similar players. This one's on Tatar Steppe, where unit speeds are affected when traversing that sticky black stuff. You're playing Cortex vehicles, I think. Yes?
Yes. Going for something a little bit different on this map. It's
And I would hope so, especially after your performance in the last one. Did you save up all your energy so that then you'd have a win in this one?
I was diligently waiting for my eco to stop stalling, and then we kind of won the game. And I didn't do a whole lot to affect that. But anyway, moving on to this one.
No. So we'll put a little window in here. The last game, which we aren't going to show because, honestly, break it down, Prey.
Let's just say that Tank Tom sacrificed most of his army by running them one at a time through a field of pop-up turrets, as well as a huge stall at the beginning of the match, which kind of meant some slow play. Not
the best content for a Road to 25 video, so we're jumping on to the next one. There will be three games, I think, that we'll show with roughly this crowd of people here. Some of the similar names. We've got a 29 OS Rife up in this top lane here, so hopefully you're holding the middle whilst
we'll quickly add credit where credit's due. The early attack that Tank Tom did help cripple 2 players, so that's kind of why it didn't turn into a massive catastrophe. But other than the first tiny little bit of the game, it's a very slow-paced one.
Yeah. And Tom is always very good with those early aggressions, but unless you completely can take full advantage of that early aggression, all you're doing is maybe stalling them, not winning your lane.
This one's slightly different because I went for the vehicles. I knew that I wasn't going to get across before they had stuff up.
Not that I Legion on
all of the I think it was.
Yeah, it looks like it. Those little wheelies going around. I'm not a fan of Legion in PvP games yet. Definitely has some balance issues. But still good to see it in so many lobbies. People are really adopting it, and it is just such an aesthetically pleasing faction.
I have enjoyed that they haven't been kind of painfully involved, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. What I've seen here is you've had a Lazarus shared to you, so having gone vehicles, there is plenty of trees around this map. With those vehicles, you want to get the energy in your bank as quick as possible, and a Lazarus or Grave Robber's one of the best options to do that early game. So nice communication with teammates.
I really hope that over time the vehicles get something similar to a Grave Robber, because it feels like on so many maps you're at a massive disadvantage by going vehicles just because you're not getting that reclaim. A map which has metal on it, bots. A map which has lots of trees on it, bots.
I disagree.
A map which has lots of verticality.
I disagree. Bots. I reckon vehicles can pay off. It's a risk, especially in 1v1s. Like if you risk vehicles but you don't die straight away and you just have enough vehicles, the bots aren't stopping them. I reckon that they've got it right with having reclaim only for the bots. That's their advantage.
Beta test it, because the advantage of bots is speed and adaptability. Chuck a beta test up where we get the vehicle version of it. See what happens.
Speaking of speeds, we've got some little ticks in the enemy back lines over here, harassing Die Too Hard.
These little Helios tanks are very, very good. They've got decent speeds. I think it's slightly better than the Incisor, and able to clean those ones up nicely. Let's have a quick look at that. Speed 69 versus Tank Tom's Incisors of... Actually, no, that's speed 86. Never mind. Just a bit more range is what they've got.
Got enough units now that I've decided to go for a push and see what I can find. seeing the com, I immediately decide not there.
And this is where you've made a fatal error. You have gone to down when if you had managed to go up, you would have been in a very good position.
Yeah, not much
but
there,
still getting
never
some
know.
damage done.
There wasn't a whole lot of vision up here at this point, so I was basically guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those Helios
Look, you can't
doing
get it
quite
right.
well there. I don't
These
know if
mess
that
me
was
up.
worth it. Yeah, probably not worth it. You took out 2 mexes in that, maybe 3, and lost 4 or 5 tanks. So if they come back online pretty quickly, given that there is about 400 metal there to reclaim, a bit more than that, 500 over those 2 spots, probably neutral at best, a neutral trade there.
But still trying to get in and do damage is something that we would highly encourage, because even though this is only a really quick get, the com isn't going to get it. The builder isn't set up to do it, which means that they will be left unmexed for quite a while. And particularly when you're doing this climb in this lower to mid level, anything that you can grab that disrupts a build order is a positive.
So we are going to test out my theory here with you being vehicles. If you play your lane, Tom, you're up against bots. There is, of course, vehicles to the south, which looks like Bird Alarm's not putting any pressure on, just keeping the units in the background. You really want to bring them up about there. They are not doing that. They're harassing something else. Looks like this lane down here, we've got quite a low S 3 chef player, quite new to the game, not getting their units up to the front line. So good to see teammates helping out neighbours, I guess. Anyway, back to you.
Speaking of helping out neighbors, it does look like your units have drawn a reaction from the purple player. And by doing that little invade, you've definitely got them cautious. So nothing has happened from this yet, but we'll keep an eye out on that as the game goes. Any sort of disruption like this can open a lane up for somebody else.
Plenty of
and looking
at
your macro in the background, managed to grab those mexes. You've got wind building separated out. And you're doing a much better job this time around. Unfortunately, holding a lot of metal because you're a little behind on the construction turrets, but identified and fixing. So that should be online soon.
Yeah, I've managed to keep them both going. It could be spent a bit more than what it currently is, but at least I haven't overflowed it at this stage.
Got a little raiding force coming towards you, but your lashes are scaring them away. Probably would have been smart of that player to just rush.
Definitely should have rushed.
Got a composition where I can deal with a bit of both, rather than I tend to often end up with kind of all of one and not much of the other.
I can see the hesitation. They can see the second army down here just looking at the player view. So not wanting to commit to pushing in case this player then goes in.
As you say that,
are doing the right thing though. Finding gaps. That's what you want to see in these mid.
Not just gaps. Notice how the pink player has been harassing this green player for quite a while. The only real defenses up here were a couple of walls and the units hiding behind them. Tank Tom's managed to pull those units back, which is going to give the pink player a big opportunity and also potential run-by possibilities. The downside to this attack is a little bit of the execution, splitting those forces up to either side of that line of units. You either want to get in front of that line so that you can attack with all 6 of yours per one of theirs, or you want to keep them, or you want to try and keep away from it entirely so that you can try and get the run into the base. It hasn't negatively affected you too much. You've managed to get through with all 6 of your incisors, and they are well and truly ahead of the chasing army, stopping to do damage. And I agree, when you see a group of 6 build turrets there, that's a huge amount of metal you can take off the map, even if it does result in a couple of losses. And then pushing on through is the really smart decision here. You've done the damage in the base that you're going to do. The units are chasing you, so just get out there and do damage as much as you can. Identification of the red unit up in the area above, so no need to go there. See what damage you can get elsewhere. Now, looking at this wind, your unit's going to try and path around it, and because it's an LLT, that is a bad time, especially with how damaged these units are. If you do run into this one, make sure to just hide behind them. You're going to lose those units anyway, and just try to get as much damage done, though miraculously one has survived there. But look at the devastation that just a tiny bit of assistance going into a different lane has caused. All of the units are back.
Yeah,
all
panic.
of dark green, all of light green, and pink is now in pole position. Tank Tom, you're in a good spot to do more damage yet again because there's a huge opening, and this is the sort of thing that you want to try and get done. You don't necessarily have to fight your lane. You have to not lose to your lane, but you don't necessarily have to fight through your lane. You can attack anywhere you want. And even these, I think these units might even be heading, they've gone deeper than I would have done if I was going to attack light green again. If these units didn't stop, I reckon they could have snuck into the purple base, though they're going to try anyway, though they'll take a bit of damage from these Rocketeers. And even if they just jump on these Rocketeers, I reckon that's going to be a half-decent trade, though, with the microing back. That could be a bit of a costly endeavor. One of the things with vehicles, you have to bear in mind how you're going to attack, because turning them around and running them away after taking some damage is not ideal, but with the thugs backing them up, this is really going to put a lot of pressure on the other team.
Just clocked over 10 minutes, and you're probably being the most aggressive player in the game. Not the most damage dealt, but definitely being the most aggressive. Only criticism is the amount of metal that you've consistently had in the bank. You do have the build power to spend. You probably could get some more, but I say things and then they happen. I was going to say, send your metal to another player that's empty, and you've just done that to your neighbor.
Interestingly, part of your build power at this stage is seven constructors. You've kept the constructor in the build queue as far as I could just check. It's been taken out now as you're swapping to higher tier units, but or not higher tier, but stronger tanks. But that's an interesting way to balance out the problem that you've had of balancing your build power. It's not the best way, but it is most certainly a macro-free way of doing it. So if anyone is struggling to keep that balance, then this is a perfectly valid way of dealing with it. You just want to bear in mind that it's not a solution that will efficiently go into the next stages of your OS journey.
You're still putting a lot of aggression in. There is 2,500 metal floating around here.
Sorry, jumping to the combat just up here, really good idea trying to move to attack purple, but splitting your units into the two different armies, that has hurt your attack potential significantly. You managed to take damage on both sides when you could have pushed through on either. But again, you're still getting units past, and you're still doing base damage, which means that despite it not being the best attack, this is what this journey is about. It's about the learning. It's about the learning here, and you're doing all of the right things, even if the execution is still a tiny bit off. But you've crippled the lane next to you, and you're about to cripple the lane above that. So your two lanes, you've basically taken two players out of the game for several minutes as they try and recover. That's insane. That's actually insane for a lanes map, and that will hopefully have cascading effects, because the pink player did try to capitalize but didn't fully manage it. But we might see a big capitalization from the dark pink player that's just got their T2 up, as well as maybe the red player that is just starting to get their aggression back on.
Two little tanks. I like the fact that you don't have much left in the background. Instead of going and taking on some units, go just for picking off these mexes in the background. You've corrected that action now. You've put on the fight command. He's done it again.
Right here is Tank Tom, you've got these on a control group, don't you?
Yes, I have them on a control group with the stuff on the front line that I'm controlling. And that's why these ones are derping in the background.
So for anyone who wants to understand a bit about how to deal with control groups in this in your early learning phases of the game and in your early climb, any unit that is considered a skirmisher, so something which works best at maximum range, put it in, use Alt and 2 to put it into a unit group where when it comes out of the factory, it'll automatically attach to that group. And then any unit which is a brawler, which is your thugs, it's your incisors, it's your brutes, that sort of thing, use Alt and put them into 1, and that's your brawler group. Always keep your brawlers in front of your skirmishers, and constantly move your skirmishers away from attacks, constantly move your brawlers towards attacks. Sometimes, bear that with a grain of salt. You do have to chase, you do have to pull away, all that sort of stuff. But this is the really important thing if you're going to use those micro groups. Once you have an attack that needs to be doing something different to your main army, use control and then a number to bring that across. so that then you can not pull those units away. Because Tank Tom, those 2 tanks, if you just set a bunch of lines around the map, they could have gone through and grabbed the back mexes of every player here almost. And that's one of the things that you can do if you use the controls the game gives you very actively. And all the activity is bandboxing them, and then using control on a number, and that'll give them a different set of different number. They won't be pulled back, and you'll have a very good time.
While this has been going on, I've been pushing with the pink player. We both had the armies together. We combined forces, completely wiped that base. I made the call that we're going to swing to the north. We're wiping this purple base, and we're going to keep rolling up into the top corner. We've now picked up another 2 players worth of units, and we're basically coming in unopposed.
This is nasty for the blue team. I don't see this coming back. I'm just going to quickly jump in what Prey was saying about unit compositions and keys, whatnot. If you do have grid keys in, I know Prey and Tank Tom play on Legacy. For the grid keys, just selecting one of a unit and hitting Q, it'll select all of that type of unit that is on your screen rather than all of that type of the unit full stop. So that's just another way of controlling what's on your screen. So when Tom had all incisors in one control group, if he had that ability of grid keys, it'd only be the incisors that are on his screen when selecting
That also
them.
works if you double click on a unit. It'll select all of that unit on your screen.
Now, moving back to the main front line, Tank Tom, you've been focusing down other players, not so much your own lane, but that has not been an issue because your lane has turtled up. They've got tons of defenses. They've had units that they've been pulling back to try and deal with things. They've swapped from bots into vehicles. They've tried to siege you a little bit with those Wolverines. They're trying to build up a brute force to deal with things, but the thing is, you have held your lane. You've managed to do what you need to do. And now it's just going to be a matter of time before the top sweeps down and rolls the map. So you've essentially won this one for your team at this point. I do like what you're trying to do, which is find another attack angle. The problem here is not quite enough information is being gathered, so you're running inside of the enemy defenses. And it's only a little bit of damage here and there, but it's not the first time that that's happened to this particular group of units. While we were looking at the other screen, many of your brutes were just sitting in range of the
agitator.
Agitator. Thank you. And you're trying to replicate the same success that you've had before by pushing into an area that was somewhat undefended, and you've ended up in a position where you're fighting T1 units into T2 units, and that has hurt you massively here. And so I guess the point of what I'm saying about this is, when you transition phases through the game, what you did in a previous phase may not be effective in the future. So
Whilst this is going on, my commander's degunning up in the middle from a force of the green players that's come out. So my focus definitely split.
The
part of that.
That's the game. The resign vote being called there, it was really thanks to your aggression, Tom. You were the key player in this game compared to the game beforehand. A complete U-turn of showing on the field, and well done.
So for those of you watching,
for something different.
For those of you watching, the big takeaway for those that are trying to increase their OS is how to manage your aggression and put it where it's needed most. Tank Tom, for your continued journey, it's about getting that T2 transition time right. Because instead of that big force of T1, you could have swapped into T2 because you were so effective in that top half, and managed to do a T2 push. And I reckon that would have been absolutely devastating. But this was really well played out of you. Definitely the win condition of this one, and definitely a massive recovery from the previous match.
Really highlighting what Prey said at the end of this game. You can see Tom's damage received, how much it jumped up when putting those T1 units into T2. Almost 30% of all damage he received in the entire game was in a 30-second span. Just there.
And almost all of that damage was done by a single Tsar.
Yep. Yeah. So it is key to pick your battles and know when to run away. And also remember, I've got a shout out on this, reclaiming units is a thing. If you want to put all the metal of an entire army into a T2 army, from a T1 army, reclaim them with something on the front line, or even take them back to your base, reclaim them, and get that metal back into more powerful units.
I do that all the time. When I was running my OS25, I'd reclaim any sort of unit that I didn't think would have a purpose. So, for example, if I was moving into a Sheldon Ball or something along those lines, I would keep my Rocketeers because they have shorter range and they stay in front nicely to tank shots, but I'd eat all of the pawns.
Yeah, good tactics. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also, if you want to join our Discord.
Tom really deserves the like for this one, and the comments. Do feel free to glaze Tom in this one. I know I've been asking for some negativity in the past to try and make sure that his journey isn't faster than mine, but this was an absolutely smashing game.
Yeah, nicely played. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one next Wednesday.
See ya.